to the final video in our series on planetary justice. So far we have explored various perspectives from egalitarianism to cosmopolitanism and how they shape our understanding of justice on a global scale. Today we'll be examining the critical approach which digs deeper into systemic inequalities that transcend national borders and examines the structures that perpetuate injustice across dimensions like gender, class, and wealth. This perspective will challenge how we think about fairness and justice, especially in the context of the Sustainable Development Goals. When we step back to the starting line of this global journey, we notice differences between us that are not just individual but systemic. These differences, according to the critical approach, are rooted in a man-made structures that transcend nationality, shaped by factors like gender and class. For instance, women often face systemic disadvantages compared to men, such as the gender pay gap, and the rich are treated better than the poor. These inequalities aren't natural, but created and maintained by social, economic, and political systems. As a result, the voices of the poor and marginalized are often drowned out, limiting their ability to participate fully in society. The critical approach asserts that justice requires parity, equal participation in all aspects of life, including the economic, cultural, and political spheres. However, existing structures like economic systems, property rights, and labor markets systematically deprive certain groups of the resources they need to participate fully and equally. The solution isn't just about redistributing wealth between countries. It involves dismantling the institutional barrier within them that prevent fair participation. Injustice can't be addressed by rules set by the wealthy or powerful alone. True justice requires dialogical mechanisms that amplify the voices of those who are often marginalized. But this goes beyond simple citizen participation or existing governmental frameworks. New global democratic institutions must be created to ensure that those who are typically overlooked have greater influence and representation. Now, let's connect the critical approach to the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs). While the SDGs aspire to equity and fairness, the approach taken is often a compromise between different normative approaches. The goals frequently use cosmopolitan language emphasizing justice, equality, and leaving no one behind. However, when we examine the mechanisms for achieving these goals, they rely heavily on liberal and libertarian ideas like economic growth, investment, and free trade. While the SDGs speak of eradicating poverty and reducing inequality, they fall short of proposing redistributive measures like global taxes or stronger regulations on wealth disparity. This leads to a paradox. Despite the cosmopolitan rhetoric, the tools used are drawn from libertarian frameworks that prioritize market efficiency over structural change. The SDGs present a conflicting mix of ideas. On one hand, they emphasize helping the world's poorest, but on the other, they rely on policy tools that reflect liberal, egalitarian, and libertarian approaches. The cosmopolitan emphasis on equality is undermined by mechanisms that focus more on market-driven solutions, efficiency, and state cooperation. This inconsistency highlights the challenge of achieving true planetary justice when the systems we rely on are in themselves part of the problem. While the goals call for inclusivity, the methods used still align more closely with the interests of wealthy nations and their economic frameworks. In this video, we have explored the critical approach to planetary justice, which focuses on dismantling the systemic inequalities that exist not just between countries but within them. We also examined the Sustainable Development Goals, which, despite the inclusive rhetoric, still rely on mechanisms that come from liberal and libertarian frameworks, creating a paradox in the pursuit of justice. True planetary justice, according to the critical approach, will require more than just compromises. It demands a deep restructuring of the systems that create and sustain inequality. How do you think systemic inequalities such as those based on gender or class should be addressed in the context of planetary justice? Do you believe that the Sustainable Development Goals offer a genuine path to justice, or do they fall short because of their reliance on market-driven solutions?